Thank you so much, Elliot. Today, we're not just updating the software, we're also updating the hardware. You've seen some of the renders of our school building, and to talk to you more about our school building is Ritwik Roy. Ritwik has been leading a team of designers at Marathon, and they've come up with some revolutionary ideas that's going to set a new benchmark in school design. Please welcome on stage, Ritwik Roy.
Thank you. Parmeet, Elliot, and Kavita spoke to you about the software of learning. I want to talk to you about the hardware of learning. But before I do that, I want to talk to you about movies. Let's think about how we watch movies. For our grandparents, the only way they could watch a movie was by going to the theater, standing in line, getting a ticket, and watching the movie. If they missed the movie, well, then they just missed the movie. Then the DVD came along, and this was revolutionary. This meant that our parents, if they missed the movie at the theater, they could still watch it at home. Fast forward to today, and streaming websites like Netflix and Hotstar mean that we have access to tens of thousands of movies on demand instantly. Every episode of every season of every show is available on demand. The way we watch movies has changed fundamentally. But what about classrooms? This is a typical classroom for our grandparents. This is a typical classroom for our parents. And this is a typical classroom for the kids of today. Nothing has changed, and we feel this is wrong. Now, this is a diagrammatic representation of that same classroom. You have the desks organized in rigid rows, and everyone's looking at the teacher. Gathering around an elder figure, learning from her knowledge, her wisdom, and her experience is an incredibly powerful way of learning. In fact, for our species, for tens of thousands of years, it was the most powerful way of learning. When we started designing the Big Picture Advisory, we knew that this form of learning was still important, but we also knew that we needed something else. Now, in this diagram, you can see that students are collaborating. They're sitting with each other around desks and working on projects. In the real world, collaboration is incredibly important. And therefore, in the Big Picture Advisory, collaboration is incredibly important too. And of course, individual work is essential. Here you can see that the students have retreated from their groups into their desks because at the end of the day, it's important to study and reflect by yourself. This is an advisory at Next. It is incredible. It has the perfect combination of ergonomic seating and soft furnishing. It also has huge windows so that you have natural light throughout the day. It's also equipped with modern-day technology. But it also has an interesting trick up its sleeve. The advisory at Next can quickly change from individual mode to group mode to presentation mode. Now, this is incredible because this is how work happens in the real world as well. In the real world, we have our individual space, we have small meeting rooms for collaboration, and we have the boardroom for conferences or presentations. Now, what this means is that every single advisory at Next will have access to the best features of a modern-day workspace. Now, this led to another question. What if the advisory gets too loud and all I want is some quiet time for study and reflection? This is when we made the Quiet Commons. The Quiet Commons is in our interpretation of the library space. It's a space where you can expect silence, but not just for reading and books, but for inspiration and creativity as well. In the Quiet Commons, you are surrounded by nature. And as a designer, there is nothing as inspiring as nature. Again, as a designer, I can't control the views from a plot. no matter how big my ego, I can't control the view from my surroundings. We were very lucky. We had a lovely little plot in Mulund, and this is a real photograph that we've taken from our site. This is the real view from the Quiet Commons. Every time I see this photograph, it takes my breath away. It's incredible. I would love to learn in a space like this. Now, there was another question. What if the advisories were too quiet? What if there was not enough noise? And I know that sounds like a ridiculous question. But if you ask most freelancers, the most talented designers and freelancers in the city today, they will all tell you that they spend most of their time at a Starbucks or a cafe. Sometimes the brain is just sleeping, and it needs some external stimulus to get it going. This is when we created the Hub. The Hub is collaboration central. It's the perfect space to meet other students, other advisories, and collaborate on work. The Hub comes with an exciting, dynamic design language and with a huge variation in seating. It's the perfect complement to the Quiet Commons. Now, to summarize, this is an advisory. It has the best of a modern-day office within every single advisory. The advisory is also connected to beautiful outdoor balcony space. Every student also has access to the Quiet Commons. And finally, every student also has access to the Hub. Now that you see the big picture, you can see that every student will have access to these common spaces on every single floor. We won't just make one Quiet Commons, but there'll be a Quiet Commons on every single floor. There won't be a single hub connecting the school community. There'll be a hub on every single floor. And we're not done. There'll be a big playground. There'll be music studios, art studios, maker spaces. We're even planning an 800-seater auditorium for phase 2. This is the early years advisory. Being situated on the ground floor, it'll have immediate access to the playground. We are also going to design a special outdoor play area for the kids. The teachers have spent a lot of time making sure that this classroom is full of interesting and learning activities. Okay, so now we are back in the Quiet Commons because I like it so much. And I wanted to take you through a quick tour of the space. There is a notion that architecture is about how a building looks. And this is simply not true. We simply focused on creating the best learning environment. And the function of the Quiet Commons gave rise to the form of this building. The end result is incredible. This is an iconic building design that's destined to be a landmark, not just in Mulund, but the entire city. Thank you.